This video from CES 2019 is brought to you by Corsair. Their new Corsair One is bigger, badder, and better than ever before. And that sponsor message was actually at least 60% lie, because the new Corsair One, which is actually the subject of this video, is neither bigger nor badder. It's actually gooder, but it is definitely better, which is kind of the same thing as gooder. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the naming scheme here because they're just calling it Corsair One. Again, I actually really like George's pitch. He apparently liked Corsair Deuce as a name for the follow-up, but there was some internal pushback on that, so this is what we've got. But they're expanding the lineup. There's the Corsair One i140, Corsair One i160, and Corsair One Pro i180, and we're gonna start with that one. Without making it bigger, remember, they have packed 12 processing cores into this thing. They've got an RTX 2080 Ti, 32 gigs of quad channel memory, M.2 boot drive. They've got 2.5-inch expansion. They've got a 750 watt power supply, and they've done all of this while not only making it cooler, so it's able to run, they claim, 10 to 15 degrees cooler on the CPU, but also making it quieter. So the more efficient components, along with their completely redesigned GPU cooler, means that every component in here with a fan has a 0 RPM mode now, which is pretty freaking sick. So the only thing you would hear when you're idling at the desktop is a tiny bit of pump noise. Now there's a couple of other changes that are more obvious from the front. They've moved the I/O down to the bottom so you don't have the cable weight kind of hanging off of your slots anymore. It's a little bit easier to reach as well on your desk. They have added RGB lighting, and this is across the board for the new Corsair Ones. And the Pro has a silver chassis, I guess designed to appeal more to the workstation user. So that's exactly how they've got this thing set up, because if you're gonna have 12 processing cores, you're basically into budget workstation territory in terms of the performance that you are putting on the table. Now, it's also going to come with a high price. This guy's $5,000 US, but don't worry too much about that. For those of you who are like, there's other Corsair ones. For you folks, there's the Corsair One i160. So we lose 4 processing cores. We go down to a Core i9-9900K. We go down to dual channel memory, though still 32 gigs of it. The specs of this thing are still pretty through the roof, including an RTX 2080 Ti. And we drop down to a 600 watt power supply. So for the pure gamers, this one's gonna make a ton more sense because you're giving up only really workstation performance in heavily multi-threaded applications, but you're gaining back $1,400 in your pocket, because this one is just $35.99 compared to $5,000. Now, I do want to take this opportunity to point out a couple of the other changes that they made. In order to get the cooling system of this thing to the point where not only do they not have to run that 9900K in any kind of goofy, like, low power, small form factor mode, but even allow it to be overclocked, because remember, it's a standard mini ITX motherboard in here. One of the things they've done is they've actually opened up a lot more perforation on those dual radiators that they've got on the right and left side panels. So that means more cooling, more quieter, and generally nothing badder about it whatsoever. Finally, we've got the i140, and the only differences here are that we step down to a Core i7-9700K, so it doesn't have hyper-threading compared to the last one, and we go from an RTX 2080 Ti to an RTX 2080. It's Corsair, so it's still loaded for bear when it comes to the solid-state storage, and it's still got 32 gigs of RAM or whatever, but I guess that's fine because you are going to be paying a cool $3,000 even for the entry-level model. So that's it for this video in the Corsair booth. The funny thing is, I think for like this sponsored CES video, it's actually the Corsair One. So I guess I could do a recap of the talking points, but maybe it'd be better for me to just say, hey, if the Corsair One looks pretty cool to you, either in black or silver, then you should go check out the link in the video description, because it's available already, like starting now. This is not just some vaporware announcement. These things are ready to rock. So don't miss any of our CES 2019 coverage, you guys, by making sure you're subscribed to Linus Tech Tips, and we will see you in the next suite. No, you're not going to be able to follow me this time.